I'm Lauren Dinneweth, the director of the Orion Art Center, and I'd like to welcome you to this edition of The Palette, our show about art and artists in our community. And we have a jam-packed show for you today. We're going to take you to the Orion Art Center's glamorous Gala. It's one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. This show is also filled with artwork, from expressive portraits to eclectic works created from trash. We'll also visit with a watercolor artist and two local men who've turned their passion for art into a business. All that and more coming up on this edition of The Palette. The Orion Art Center's Black Tie Gala is an elegant evening and one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. It's also a fun way to raise money for art.
On Saturday, March 1st, members of the community gathered at Addison Oaks to support the arts in Lake Orion. The annual gala is the Orion Art Center's largest fundraiser of the year. In its 25th year, the event had a Mardi Gras theme, and hundreds of attendees showed up in colorful masks. And the North Oakland Dixieland Band contributed to the festive atmosphere. In addition to ticket sales, money was raised through raffle baskets and a silent auction, with items donated from local businesses and the community, including a trip to New Orleans.
The Art Center this year will be 35 years old, and this gala is actually our silver anniversary gala. It's been going on for 25 years. And, I like to say in this fleeting day and age where, you have so much digital technology and everything, it's really a tribute to the longevity and the dedication to arts in this community. And all of these people are here tonight to support the Orion Art Center, to support our exhibits, our scholarships, our competition, our community outreach, and of course our wonderful festival, Dragon on the Lake.
Each year at the event, the Art Center recognizes two individuals from the Lake Orion art community. Named 2014's Patron of the Year was volunteer and board member Brenda Pescia.
Oh wow, art has been a part of my life since the beginning. And I taught in Lake Orion Community Schools. I taught art. So when I retired, I thought, where better to volunteer my time? And it's great to be able to give back to the community and do some things for the community.
Brenda is a workhorse. She gives and gives and gives. She's been a part of Dragon on the Lake for many years. She's helped run the art show, the Kids Zone, been on the executive committee. She has spearheaded our new pottery studio. She's been on the board for over 2 years, and all of those as a volunteer. So you can imagine the many, many hours of dedication and work that she's given to us, and so she's very deserving of this award tonight.
And named 2014's Artist of the Year was Laura Locke.
Well, at first I was in disbelief, actually, but of course I was thrilled, and I'm very honored for this opportunity. Well, I think this community is really different, that we have such a significant presence as far as artists in this community. It's really welcoming. I think the Art Center does a great job in bringing everybody together for the Dragon on the Lake and for all of the other openings and artists that they also promote throughout the year. It's just a great community. It's a great place to be.
Lake Orion and our surrounding area has so many wonderful artists. I don't know if people are aware of that, and Laura Locke is one of them. She has these beautiful textural montages. She's a mixed media artist, and her work is really special. She recreates these vintage images out of fabric, and they have color and texture, and she really breathes life into them. So we're really proud to have her as our Artist of the Year this year. And we have to give a huge thanks to our sponsors, our patrons, and the many businesses who gave donations this year. We couldn't do it without you. What can you read in a face? Joy, pain, surprise, anger. The feelings are limited only by the words we use to describe them. And this year's portrait show was all about capturing emotion.
On January 30th, the Art Center kicked off its 7th annual Portraits and Pottery Show, featuring the work of artists from throughout the Metro Detroit area. Dozens of pieces were submitted for the show and were judged earlier. Ribbons and $500 in cash prizes were handed out at the reception. Netting the first place ribbon was Peter Doro for his portrait of his daughter, Chloe.
She was just wearing this head around, and I just thought it was fantastic. So I asked her if she would, I took some shots of her, and then I drew it. It's charcoal on tone paper. But yeah, and if you knew her, like this is the one I showed it to my wife, and she's like, that screams Chloe, that's her name. I captured her more than just the image of a person. So that stuff that you were saying earlier holds true. So thank you.
I think it was really amazing. We have a lot of different styles, we have a lot of different techniques. You can really see the influence of the artist. We have some really fine pieces, and I was really pleased with the submissions.
Ron Harper began his term as board director in October of 2013. Although he's been active with the Art Center for several years, this was the first time he attended the Portraits and Pottery Show.
For me, it's quite neat. I'm not an artist. In fact, I've been in operations my whole life, so this is kind of a different side of the brain for me. It's been fun to meet the folks and then to see the art. I find pieces that I enjoy and that I really like, but I couldn't critique them. I'm just not an art expert.
You just appreciate.
Just appreciate them, all of them, yes.
Mike Hendricks received an honorable mention ribbon for his portrait of the two-time U.S. national champion figure skater, Alyssa Sisney. Alyssa and Mike attend the same church, and he invited her to attend the reception as well.
This is pretty amazing. I mean, being a skater, I've seen photos of myself, but to have someone do an actual portrait of my skating, I'm honored by it, and just amazed by his talent.
So we have a really active group of portrait painters in our area, and a very talented group, and it's wonderful. It's one of my favorite shows, only because if you think about taking one form, the human face, and how many different interpretations can be captured by an artist, and it's just fascinating to me. And now for a more eclectic mix of art. The Recreate Recycled show is now showing at the Orion Art Center, and it's all about the stuff we throw away, getting creative with trash.
On Wednesday, April 23rd, the Orion Art Center held a reception to kick off its 6th annual Recreate Recycled art show. Sponsored by Waste Management, the theme of this year's event was birds, bees, and trees. And artists of all ages were encouraged to use materials that otherwise might have ended up in a landfill.
Well, this year's show is great because we actually have about double the entries. Every year this show continues to grow. And what I like most about it is that it really forces the artist to start from ground zero, if you will. I mean, if you're a sculptor, if you're a painter, if you're a fiber artist, you kind of have to throw your comfort zone out the window and your traditional techniques and start with the most humble materials, something that we would normally throw away. And so I think that forces an artist to really rethink what art is and to come up with something totally unique and totally different.
We called it Birds, Bees, and Trees, and that's really kind of celebrating Waste Management's effort around sustainability and wildlife habitat, and tying these themes in with some of the things that we do to support the Audubon Society and the Arbor Day Society. And as I walked around, I saw how they really did capture that theme, and they did a beautiful job capturing that theme. And it's so here, the sustainability movement, even though some people are still on the fence about it, and seeing our youth really capturing the reuse and the repurposing of goods and creating art, which is left brain, right brain development and imagination. It's fabulous. It's just fabulous.
Ribbons and more than $1,000 in cash prizes were awarded to artists in various categories. Taking first place in the kids division for the second year in a row was Bear Scout Pack 59.
Well, we've won 2 times in a row. We're gonna try next year. This is the second time.
Tell me about your piece.
This is the Flight, The Forest of Flight, and we got it from his book, The Secret Zoo. And this is basically the cottage with these soldiers and a car, and that's the lake, and this right here would be the tree house with the swan on it. This is the bird feeder, and this is the little pond, and that's like a flower. And these are butterflies, wasps, made from magazine pages.
Micah Zielinski took first place in the teen division for his entry called Hooked on Life. Taking first place for best use of materials was Claudia Keglovitz for this piece, mixed media art entitled Hinge. And netting a first place finish for best interpretation of the theme was artist Sarah Tierney.
Well, I never see junk, as probably most artists. You know, I think I'm kind of a recycler at heart anyway, so I try to use mostly natural products, but I also repurposed a lot of other items in this piece. I'm primarily a fiber artist, but I ventured out to do more mixed media, and I like to incorporate a lot of different elements in my work.
This month, we welcome a new artist to Lake Orion. She's become a familiar face around the Art Center. Her name is Annalisa Loevenguth, and she has a passion for painting. Tell me about art, your art. How did you get into art, and how early did you start painting?
When I started, I was mostly self-taught. Like, I was really into the acrylic side, and then I got into the watercolor and just kind of experimented with that. And then I just got more interested in it, and then I started going graphic design for school, and then that's where I...
So, what do you get out of creating something?
It makes me feel like I don't know, people can see my technique, how I see things.
You get into a creative zone where it's, you feel a sense of freedom, or what is it?
Yeah, it's I don't know, it makes me feel like, I have a different way of looking at things. I really like to be abstract, so I like to think things really detail oriented and stuff like that.
So what do you eventually hope to do? Do you want to sell your work?
I would like to, but I just know it's hard to get started and stuff. I know you could sell it on Etsy, but I'm just trying to figure out how to do that.
What's the most challenging thing about being an artist?
Getting noticed.
Why?
I don't know, because you want people to notice you, and then sometimes you have to fight your way up, and then...
So it can be a struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
what advice would you give to other artists just starting?
Just keep practicing, keep working at it until you get your technique, your style, and then until you perfect it and make it your own, because it's going to be yours.
So you paint a lot of different styles and different mediums. Do you have a favorite?
Watercolor.
Why do you like watercolor?
It's just, I don't know, the colors, I can just have fun with the colors, and I don't have to worry about it looking perfect, because the water does that itself, and it's beautiful.
When you're working on a painting, it might look finished to other people, but is it ever finished for you?
Yeah, if I know I'm finished, then I'll go in and edit sometimes, say if I'm doing a watercolor or acrylic, I'll go in and edit it in Photoshop, make it a little more detail. I really like photography, so sometimes I'll try to incorporate that into my artwork and then play around with it, mix it up, make it a little surreal. book I did was What a Beautiful Night, and I did that in college in my bookmaking class. And my teacher really got on to me about like illustrating, because she had done books before in the past, and she saw that I had a little talent for doing it and putting a book together, and it was really, really fun. And then I realized, oh, I could do this. I could go into bookmaking. That'd be something I could do. So it's just a fun thing for me to kind of explore, and people really like the softness of the watercolor that I mostly do, and it's just really fun. My boyfriend and I kind of wrote it together. It was a poem I had, and we kind of worked on it together, and then I did the illustrations, and we just went from there. But it's really, really fun, and I just like seeing illustrations of like children's books. It just like sparks my eye, because I'm just like, oh, because there's so much work that goes into each page. So.
Did you ever consider going into any other avenue of interest, or has it always been art?
Always been art, I think.
Why?
I always liked it. I like to think of new ideas. I like to experiment. I just feel like it's right up my alley.
Did you know from an early age?
I think so. Like, I was drawing when I was really, really young, and it was just fun for me. And I'd always get the magazines and just start sketching.
And you teach a couple of classes here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get something out of teaching, or what do you get out of teaching and being able to share your experience with others?
Because when I see students, I see them, and then I see where they're at, and then I realize that's how I was when I was young, and I'm try to get them to grow in that, so they don't stop, but like keep going. So I try to give them my advice, so that way they can grow in their artwork and get better.
So you would encourage young artists?
Yeah, to keep going, because like if you have a style and you're young and you develop that style, you could be a totally different artist from everybody else, and that's what makes an artist. If the more like emotion you put into it, the better it's going to come out, because it's like what you're doing, how you're thinking when you're doing a piece, it just brings it to life, and then with all the emotion and heart you put into it. Yeah, I've been through some emotional stuff, and I usually, whenever I would just sit down and draw, it would really help me keep going and realize that I had something, that I was good at, and I didn't have to worry about the other things.
And that's a message that you can pass on to other young people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're a new artist or an experienced painter, you can catch one of Annalisa's classes right here at the Orion Art Center. For many people, art is just a hobby, something they do in their spare time. But as Kayla Brandon shows us, for two Lake Orion men, it's gone a step further, and they've turned their art into a business.
Ultraviolet art has hit the Motor City and is taking the electronic music scene by storm. When artist Brad Lawrence was diagnosed with tendinitis, his passion for drawing could have crumbled. Instead, he said his disability inspired him to get a little creative.
Like, I used to look down at my arm that hurt, and it was like saddening. You see this kind of big scar tissue on your arm, and now it's like I look down and they're painted, and it just makes me smile. This is like my body armor,
As he built his team of innovative warriors, Lawrence enlisted the help of his friend, Corporal Michael Zack, a U.S. Marine that had to retire after he suffered a gunshot wound in Afghanistan.
Being in the military is very different than having a civilian job. And I see a lot of civilian managers doing their own thing at like different places I go to, and then I knew I had to do something bigger, and Brad had the idea.
We pretty much want to paint the world. We want to paint everything, belts, pants, capes, dresses, anything, flags. We want to paint everything, We want to spread our designs to everything, phone cases, you name it, we just want to paint it.
To get these psychedelic designs onto apparel and other items, Lawrence says he borrowed a page from age-old paper-making techniques, originally used for bookbinding.
So I just kind of sort of rediscovered this about 4 years ago and started making my own paper with it, but combining it with fluorescent pigments and black lights, 3D glasses, color changing lights, everything, just really exploring modern technologies and developments, how it applied to this age-old technique. And then I just fell in love with being able to loosen up, because I did such realistic drawings. I could loosen up and just be free with this process. And then while doing that, then I started realizing, like, oh man, I can transfer this to shirts. I can, oh man, it works on my skin. And then you start dreaming up ways to apply that, ways to, propose it to a festival and say, hey, I can come and make your whole attendance part of the show. I can make them all performers.
Lawrence noted that while the design might fade a little over time, the colors hold up after repeated washing. But when applied to the skin, the effect is temporary.
Ready?
So come from this side. Start with the back. Welcome to the Avatar team.
I do. I feel like I'm an avatar. Am I an honorary member?
Yeah.
My initiation process?
Everybody that we paint, they're family members.
Oh, nice. This is very cool.
Now, if you're worried your party paint won't wash off by the next morning, not to worry. The guys at BL Visuals told us that if you loosely scrub your body with soap and water, it should wash right off. With concert season rapidly approaching, the duo says their main focus is spreading their art with electronic music lovers across the country.
Our major goal is to go to these different festivals so that we can paint in front of people, show them the process, show them how magical it is when we're making the products that we do sell them. That way the product ends up becoming more of an artifact of that experience rather than just a product.
And what do you think the motto is for BL Visuals, if you guys could come up with one?
Blow minds. That's easy. That's the one we always go with. We blow everybody's minds. Yep, paint the world and blow minds.
Reporting in Clarkston, I'm Kayla Brandon for The Palette.
Thanks, Kayla. Now, there's a lot coming up at the Orion Art Center. Next month, our 2014 Artist of the Year, Laura Locke, will show her work at the Orion Art Center. We'll also have a full summer of classes and camps. And mark your calendar for Dragon on the Lake to be held August 22nd through 24th this year. It's featuring the Lakeside Living Art Fair with national and local artists selling their work. There's also loads of entertainment, a 5K run, a kids zone, and of course the dragon boat races. We also have fun opportunities for volunteers and offer community service hours. You can find out more by visiting one of our websites, orionartcenter.org or dragononthelake.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.